Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. This Japanese holly, which I grew from a cutting, is doing really well in the greenhouse. It put on great growth over the summer. It's not like there's any new growth on here that has taken off since I put it in the greenhouse, but it has flourished and stayed green. And this was also a test of the Triagami pots, the 3D printed pots from triagami.com. They're called Bonsai Shoes, and they are for root development and bonsai training. So I said I'd give them a review. In the spring, it will be a year, but this would be a midterm review on root development. So as I mentioned, these were grown from cuttings, and as everyone knows, cuttings root sometimes well, sometimes not so well. I had this in a tray initially, and it did throw on some roots, but I put it in this pot basically to test root development. And the Triagami 3D printed pots are open at the bottom. You can leave them on a tray like I did, and they will collect a little bit of water, but that got a little bit too waterlogged. So I had them in the open, and they air pruned down here beautifully. And now I just had it on a tray of water again in the greenhouse, and as you can see, the roots are developing through the 3D printed mesh bottom beautifully. So these will work for the purpose they were designed. It has a little slit in the back to allow the water to escape, but if you have it in a tray that's deeper than the slit, water will collect. So this one grew, I thought, very much like the olive that I just pruned up, so I thought this might be a good one to prune up somewhat and see about the new growth in spring, see what it wants to do. I like the branch placement. Even this cluster in the middle doesn't bother me. This might come off in favor of this, and I think that's what I'll do today. This doesn't really do that much. In this dimension, it fills it in. But I think in the long run, that needs to come off. And I'm going to do a flush cut with my knob cutter. It's actually a concave cut, which will heal over nicely. That's a nice front. Leans away. What happens if you make it an upright tree? I'm going to get rid of this growth right here. I'm going to take the end off of this I'm going to shorten this, but where? This flows back. It flows nicely off this branch, but unfortunately it's flowing back into the tree. The other one that came off of this same staggered alternating branch, it took off, but it's not looking so good. It bifurcated here. I'm going to let that go. And this is different than the olive. The olive has the leaves opposing one another. This has alternating but staggered leaves, and there is a bud at the top. There's a bud at the top intersection of all of these leaves on a Japanese holly. So once again, you can choose nicely for clip and grow. and hoping that you get a bifurcation at that point, you know, a branch in one direction and in the other direction, and they will already be staggered. And it seems as though you could even improve on that somewhat over time. I'm going to cut this to a downward facing bud, and hopefully I'll get a branch that continues to flow that way. This one, I have downward and slightly upward right there, and that's good placement for me. Hoping I get something from there. This is a little bit long. Foregoing bifurcation for the future of the tree. And I want to clear out some of this leaf growth down low. I don't want to damage any of the buds. In the olive, they just plucked right off and didn't seem to damage the bud. This is a little bit more pressure than I feel comfortable doing. And I will repot this tree in spring. I think the Triagami pot has done its job. I think I'm going to find beautiful roots in this pot, and I'll have to find something nice to put this in. Let me just clear the moss from the base of the tree. And I had some surface roots on here I had forgotten about. Oh, they're lovely. I'm really going to want to develop this tree for many years into a bonsai. Knowing that it really got its start in a Triagami pot, I'll put a link to triagami.com in the description below. I think for its design purpose, it does really, really well. Oh yeah, this is going to be nice. All right, my Japanese holly is all pruned up. That's it for today. Thanks for keeping me company in my backyard. And here's a quick update on my moss experiment. I hope you can see, and I'm going to try and get close, but it is greening up around the edges. I have it in a spot that gets pretty good sun in the greenhouse most of the day, and it is starting to green up. It's only been a few weeks since I put this together, and it's looking pretty good. Another thing I want to show you, these are the lantana that I grew from seed from my larger lantana, and the flowers are just absolutely amazing. This one will start out that color, and it will probably get a different interior or exterior color as they mature. Very, very cool species, and a pretty good candidate for bonsai. And last but not least, what I love about this particular azalea is that the flowers are small. Satsuki azaleas are beautiful, but the flowers are gigantic. And if you have a Satsuki azalea bonsai that's small, the flowers kind of give it away. They always have a double flower, one right next to the other, and they're really, really small. What a beautiful color. I love this particular azalea. I don't know what it's called, if anyone does. It's just one of the azaleas that are growing on my property.